So court reserves the right. If some executive action is questioned on the ground of legality, rationality, procedural propriety, then courts have the right to intervene. But the test, the Wensbury test, which is commonly known as test of unreasonableness, has to be seen. So the action has to be very unreasonable prima facie. Then only the courts will go into it. Otherwise, they won't interfere. And then comes the legislative actions. Same happens with the legislative actions, that multiple acts get challenged. Aadhaar Act got challenged. Eventually, it resulted in Swami judgment of 9 benches. So acts get challenged. Even constitutional amendments get challenged. So there was a constitutional amendment through which National Judicial Appointment Commission came in. It was a constitutional amendment. Supreme Court struck it down. So the power which judiciary has are immense as far as this judicial review is concerned, because it's believed that by this power, by exercise of this power, the sanctity of the constitution, the sanctity of the system is preserved. What is judicial activism? Judicial activism is an effort to fill the legislative and executive vacuum. So when the environment is falling day by day, the air is bad, when you can't breathe, AQI is in 500, 600. It can be said that government will take care, but when the government just doesn't take care, what will happen? Supreme Court steps in, and that's called judicial activism. We have a chain of MC Mehta judgments. You type MC Mehta judgments on Google, you have a plethora of judgments before you. Air pollution, water pollution, TAS. So it's taking care of the executive part. And then comes the legislative part. Vishaka judgment is an example. Sexual harassment at workplace. It was an elephant in the room and no one was willing to address it. So sexual harassment was rampant. Women were getting harassed day by day and no one was bothered. What to do? In that situation, Supreme Court came up with the guidelines. Supreme Court said that, okay, if a woman is getting sexually harassed at her workplace, it's violation of her right to life, right to profession, multiple rights, and we can't sit silent. So there was no law, there was a legislative vacuum, and Supreme Court in the Vishaka judgment drafted the guidelines of preventing the sexual harassment at workplace. And those guidelines were implemented in the entire country till we get the required law. So this is what judicial activism is. But there are critiques as well. Critiques is that Montesquieu, the philosopher, social philosopher, political thinker, he said that separation of power is